OK, so in this example, so we talked about, if we had a rational. We're going to get into adding and subtracting here in just a second as well. But in this case, if you guys can see, we have sine squared of x times secant squared of x minus sine squared of x. You can also look into different operations that we talked about as far as what we call factoring, right? So a lot of times when you guys are having trouble with factoring, the best thing, or at least having an understanding of what exactly to do, sometimes I tell you just to write it in different terms. Write it as variables. Forget about the sines and the squareds and cosines and everything. Go back to variables. If I say simplify this, what would you do? You'd say, oh, well, they both share an x squared, so I factor out an x squared. Right? So guys, it's the exact same thing. We're just adding in trigonometric functions. Here, you guys can see they both share a sine squared. Sine squared times secant squared of x minus 1. Now, I need to look at my Pythagorean identities and see what does secant squared of x minus 1 represent. Well, remember, 1 plus cotangent squared of x equals secant squared of x. So if I subtract 1, cotangent squared of x equals secant squared of x. So now I can replace minus 1. Now I can replace secant squared of x minus 1 in for cotangent squared. So therefore, I have sine squared of x times cotangent squared of x. What? Oh, you're right. Thank you. Thank you. Cotangent goes with secant. Tangent goes with secant. So this is cosecant. So it's still cotangent. No, that's secant. Wait a minute. That's secant. So secant goes to tangent. You guys told me cosecant. There we go. So therefore, this goes to tangent. Jade, I really don't need the extra thing. I appreciate it, but I don't really need it. So I have secant squared of x times tangent squared of x. All right. So now we just go and look at this. So if I have sine of x times secant squared of x is going to convert to your tangent. That's not really going to help us out, though. Maybe I was thinking about what we had. Sine times secant minus 1. All right. Huh? Yeah, well, if I rewrite this, then I rewrite my tangent. I can rewrite as sine squared over cosine squared. But really, that's just going to be your simplified version. I mean, there's really nothing else. You could multiply it. It'd be sine to the 4th over cosine squared. But that's not really any more simplified than this. Yes? Oh, yeah, sure. So that'd be your final answer. Oh, yeah. OK, she's going to sit right there. I'll just move that. Yeah, move my foot. I have no idea what that is.
Thank you.
Yep. And that would be your final answer for that. Yes?